Hey, hey, hey. Thanks to everybody who was on originally and those of you all who are jumping on or catching the replay. This is Dr. Angela Shuttlesworth of Be.Lead.Grow.com, where I help leaders to accomplish their big goal, which is identifying that thing that is their bridge to their irrefutable greatness. Today and this week and this month, I'm going to be talking about how to flood our timelines with love. And the way that I give love is to give you all practical tools and strategies that help you to show up and show out in all areas of your life as a leader. So today, I have my special guest, my mom. We are in Cincinnati, Ohio. So I see some of you all jumping on. If you will, in the comments, let me know who's on the line. Thanks, Mr. Richmond, for coming back in. He's in Atlanta, Georgia. And we are in Cincinnati, Ohio, visiting family, and technology was not our friend. So I had to jump off, and we came down to one of my favorite places in the world. And I can say that because Starbucks never lets me down. So my mom was like, you know what? Ask them to turn the music off. You know, again, using your voice, ask for what you want. And they literally turned off the music for us so we can do our video in here. So I'm appreciative. So let's go ahead and dive right in. So as you all know, with Love Flood, I will be answering some questions that I've been getting around how was it my trip living abroad, how was it transitioning back, and then how does all of this relate to leadership. And so what I wanted to do was to talk about the reality is that seasons change and that we have to acknowledge and accept that in our lives as leaders and just as people. And so for me, this week we just got done with a module in my 90 Days to Power coaching program, and we were talking about having a power team in place for when those seasons change. So who are the people that you need to have? So to give you perspective, when I was living in each of these countries, I met so many different people who attached to my life and who I wanted to just take with me, and I thought they would be there forever. And it was very painful. And, you know, I started out, you know, with the group of people who I was like, oh, we're all going to be best friends forever. And unfortunately, that didn't happen. But then not even just the people that were in the group, but I met like-minded people. I met other professionals, other entrepreneurs who my spirit just connected with. And I had to, you know, people talk about a reason, season, and a lifetime. And as you are on your leadership journey, the reality is that's going to happen. You're going to meet new people. Things are going to shift. Tides are going to shift. Your political alliances are going to shift. And sometimes it hurts. And sometimes it feels really good because you get that welcoming of the newness. And so as I'm transitioning out my 90 Days to Power clients who have been amazing, I got sad. And, you know, we just wrapped up our call, which is why I'm a little bit late. But we were just in gratitude, all of us, for everybody, for everything that we've been going through. And so I wanted to ask my mother, and who is an amazing leader. And when we talk about, you know, how your passwords on some of your accounts, they'll say, ask you questions. One of mine for an account, I'm not going to tell you which one because I don't need y'all hacking my account. But it says, who is your childhood hero? And mine is, the answer is always simple. It's my mama. And she is the hero in my life for many, many reasons. And a lot of you all know her because of her ability to be a leader in the government realm, and being the assistant city administrator for Riviera Beach, Florida, being an administrator in West Palm Beach, and in Cincinnati, being over public safety, just doing all of these things. And a lot of don't know that she started out also working where she met my godmom, working in the domestic violence area, right? Mm-hmm. So first we'll start out with, what do you think leadership is? How do you know that somebody is an effective leader? Or what does leadership mean to you?
That you have people who are willing to follow what you are doing, you know, and that you listen and that you hear what they're saying for the benefit of all. When you gave me that little 2-minute nurturer, peer, and those things that are important, it's so funny that you talked about the battered women's shelter, because that was the person I thought about as the nurturer and someone to help you lead, which was Angela, and that who you're named after, and that we have been friends for 40 years, peers, colleagues. We started out as colleagues and peers because I hired her, and then we became best friends, and we've been friends for 40 years, and we're both considered leaders. She's now a psychologist with her own company with her husband, and works with young ladies in Cleveland who aren't fortunate. And then, but that's kind of, get back to what you said about a leader, is someone that we don't have leading our government now, the opposite of what we have now.
That's my
Who
mama.
will listen,
Yes.
and people are willing to follow because you make sense.
Amen. And she knows we have very different political views on that. I am intense. That's why I did the Love Flux. I'm tired of hearing about this man. But I always say that every time somebody gets irritated, it is just like she used to always tell me, y'all ain't making no noise, talking about our generation. To me, it's always a reminder that we need to push and act and do something different. And it's a reminder of what's possible from a negative standpoint. Like, people didn't think that you can do all this stuff. Like, how is this possible? I'm like, well, it's a reminder that there needs to be some kind of policy change, some kind of things that are in place that stop these things from happening. And so my mom added in, and she kind of went ahead. Where's your phone? Let me pull that thing out. So this week, when I talked about identifying your power team, I came up with 6 people that a leader wants to have in their life. And she gave you a few of them, and I wanted to make sure that I used them because I just came up with them last week and gave them to my team. There we go. And so I want to make sure I give you the right definitions. So I'm going to give you 3 tonight, and I'll give you 3 tomorrow. So which are the 3 that you said? You said the nurturer, right?
And your peer.
And your peer. Okay, so those are they're on the second one. All right, so when we talk about a nurturer, the way that I've defined it for my coaching program is that it is the powerful supporter who provides a safe space for you to fall apart and lovingly, without shame, puts you back together. And you have to think about who is that person that's in your life. And as a leader, we come across so many different things that we have to face that, are, again, we talked about political alignments and who's there to support you. They love to support you when you're winning. But who's there in those moments when you have to cry, and it doesn't have to be in the dark? That's who you want on your team. And then, hey, good to see you, Callie. That's Miss Halbert's granddaughter.
Oh. Hey.
And then she mentioned your peer. And to me, that's a powerful supporter who serves as a mirror and a listening, understanding ear. They're willing to share and receive resources as they're on a similar big journey. And, for me as an entrepreneur, and this also goes into the time of being in Chiang Mai and why I loved it so much, it is a hodgepodge of go-getters. Everywhere you go, people are wanting to pour into you. They're wanting to also receive from you. So it's a reciprocal relationship. And I don't have to explain why I'm up crazy hours and night working, because they get it. They're on the same type of journey. I don't have to feel like an alien. I don't have to feel alone. And they are willing to lead in their realm. And we respected each other's spaces. So what were some of the ways that your power team supported you as you went through different seasons of transition as a leader?
Well, let me say, at the Battered Women's Shelter, it was maybe one of my first leadership roles, and we had no funds. So we were cleaning up and doing what we had to do. And there were people, like I said, Angela Wilkes.
My God, Mommy.
Yes, and Pat Ward, who's a friend that I depended on, and Gwen, and just the staff who knew we didn't have money but put together all of their skills and talents to do what needed to be done. And it wasn't easy. Sometimes they had to come to me and say, look, you've become so close to Angela, you're not hearing what we need and what we need from her. And so I said, okay. So we all sat down and we discussed it like women do,
Yes.
And then I learned from it, Angela learned, and it made for a better working environment because it was a very stressful situation. You never knew when a husband would be banging on the door. We had situations where we had Iron Horseman wives saying, well, our husband's going to come in here and kill the lot of you or whatever. So we had to depend on each other to make sure that the other women stayed safe and that we were doing what we needed to do. So, and then we talk about season full speed ahead, 30 years later as assistant city manager for the city of Riviera Beach, there was a woman called Roseanne Brown, who I considered a nurturer and a peer. And we had this saying with each other that when we were about to go off on a council member or something, put a sock in it. And she was the one who would always hunch me and say, put a sock in it. Because sometimes I would get to the point, like when I'm talking about our current leader or the leaders that were up there, the mayor or whoever, and they weren't making sense, and I would get angry. That was the person who pulled me to the side and said, okay, let's do it this way. Because she knew the people. You always have to have somebody in leadership, when you're in a leadership role, that you can trust.
Yes.
That you can bounce things off and they won't run and tell somebody.
Yes.
Because sometimes, that's that person that you work with and you throw those ideas by, and they'll tell you, well, that's not going to make sense, or that's not going to work in this case because. And even though you may not be on the same level, she, again, was somebody who worked for me, but she also worked with me.
Yes, big
in
difference.
order to make whatever I did a success. I know she had my back.
Yes.
And the same thing with Angela from my first job in 1977, where I had the responsibilities of a leader. Since then, I have been able to call her on whatever job and tell her what's going on, personal life or whatever, and she was always there, and I knew whatever I told her wouldn't go anywhere. And I think that was, trust is essential to anybody when you're in a leadership role, to have that person that you can trust, that it won't be in the newspaper the next day, or it won't become part of the rumor mill.
I love that. And so even though you stayed on nurturer and peer, as you talked about Aunt Roseanne, and look, it's so interesting. All of her coworkers, they become family. Like, they are my aunties. So when you talked about Aunt Roseanne, who is an amazing inspiration to my life and supporter, it also sounded like lover. And one of the things is, as I just said, this is part of Love Flood, where I'm talking about love as a part of leadership. And normally that's something you don't hear. And, and we think of romantic lover, but I'm talking about who's your lover as a leader. And your lover is the powerful supporter who provides an unwavering, constant presence of safety, stability, and sound affirmation, serving as your anchor. And I think that hopefully that can come in whoever is serving as your romantic partner, but sometimes you may have to get that in other places, and that's okay. But you want to acknowledge that there is a need for that. And as you were talking about Aunt Roseanne, that safe space and the trust element, and the person who keeps you grounded and make sure that you don't, go off on a council person or somebody who is a person that is in a different type of position of power, that you lose your job, right? Yeah. So like she said, put a sock in it and allow yourself to stay in this role because we need you. And even as I didn't even want to live in West Palm Beach because I didn't want to be in my mama's shadow. And because so many people came to me, oh, your mother did this for me, and oh, your mother did that. And it was constantly, she was a voice for the people that worked there. So many people, like literally since I've been back, somebody was telling me that they worked for her and they appreciated her leadership, and she didn't remember them. But that's what happens sometimes. As leaders, we don't know who's watching us, who's following us, who's listening. Even we went to lunch the other day, and one of her old coworkers was like, I'm on your email list. I see you on Facebook. And I was like, oh, hi, thank you. And I had no clue. And so I just want to empower you all to get the people around you that you need. And as I've transitioned back to being in the States, that has been very interesting to me, to try and open up to new people, to create different spaces for that, to recommit to still growing with certain people that I may have had friendships before, and I may have needed to. I talked about forgiveness the other day when I was on here with my dad. and finding out what that friendship looks like. And I've met new people. Like all these beautiful photos I've been showing were because I met an amazing man, RJ, at the coffee shop in West Palm Beach. And so because of that, he was like, oh, you need photos? And he gave me an extremely discounted price, and they are amazing. So I'm grateful to him. So leap and just trust that the people that you need will be there for you, but just be intentional about filling those spaces with people who are worthy of being in those positions in your life as you transition, because we need you. I need you, and I am grateful to be on this journey with you. And one of those pieces, as always, is making sure that you use your voice. And like she just said, when you're going through those hard times and those different things in the battered women's shelter, you needed to have that communication. You needed to know that people can come to you, and you needed to know that people will be heard. And I am having an upcoming Discover Your Power by Rediscovering Your Voice masterclass. If you have not signed up, I'm telling you, it's something you do not want to miss. It is coming up on the 17th at 8 p.m. And you can go to Be.Lead.Grow.com/Discover My Power. That's BeLeadGrow.com/Discover My Power. And I'll go ahead and post the link in this video as well. So if you're watching it now, catching the replay, please write in the comments. Let me know what your thoughts are. Who's on your power team? Who are the people that are fulfilling those roles as your peer, as your nurturer, and as your lover? Because you need that. I'm here to say it's not something that's a good thing to have. You need it. And is there anything else you want to say?
Yes. Make sure you sign up so she can buy me a cup of coffee.
I love my mama. So yes, have fun with it too. As you see, she has shown me that in the midst of all of the things that she's had to do, we still know how to have a good time and enjoy life. So love and hugs to you all, and I will see you all soon. Take care.
Bye-bye.